Recently I made a video where I talked about Bruce Lee and his kicking ability, which was really good, obviously. Kicks are super flashy, they're great for movies, they look cool. I specifically didn't talk about his fighting capability, but you left me no choice. Comment after comment after comment asking me to look at one specific video. A video of him sparring one of his students. And I wasn't gonna do this. I wasn't. It's kind of what leads me to believe that maybe he didn't spar a ton.
Perfect.
So we're gonna watch the sparring footage, mind you, and we're gonna look for very specific details that kind of like lead you to believe whether or not somebody could fight, like where their feet are during an exchange, distance management, not only like covering distance but also not staying too close at specific times, timing on the kicks, the punches, how their head reacts and moves during exchanges. Also, specifically, one thing that I feel like nobody else looks at is the sparring partner, Dan Inosanto, his student. This video is not designed to bash anybody. I actually haven't watched this clip in a long time. I have seen it, but it'll be like still sort of fresh when I watch it this time. I want to like really try and dig in. You guys asked me to look at it, so that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna go ahead and start off with some like stance details here. This back foot being pointed so far this way, you pivot the opposite foot when you kick. That's like not super uncommon. So for roundhouse kicks, for side kicks, stuff like that, anything where you're turning the knee sideways, you want to have that other foot pointed in the opposite direction so you can open up your hips. His stance already being like this kind of leads him to be able to just throw a lead leg kick with that rotation with ease. It kind of leads to some disadvantages though that maybe we'll see in a little bit. His stance is a little funky, but if you get used to a funky stance, you can still move around. So we're not just going to go ahead and dismiss anything immediately. Okay, so he recognizes timing of his sparring partner here. Let's see here. You see this little bit of movement here? Bang! Sparring partner goes for what looks like it's going to be a pulling, like a step behind side kick. There's the step behind. Now watch Bruce Lee here. Bruce Lee goes plant with the base foot. Really good chamber of that side kick. Bang! Extends it over top of his sparring partner. Looks like he gets a little kick to the nether regions here. Doesn't really extend it. Also doesn't kick super hard. Good timing. Controlled the distance well. Notice somebody was coming in. Extends that front foot out. This whole time, he had his foot right here between he and his target. If the guy came in before he could extend his kick, he would be able to push off because his foot was there, not his knee. His knee wasn't above his foot. Bang. But here's what I'm worried about. What little contact was made, and the over-exaggeration, but then also, now granted, when you're sparring somebody that you like, you tend to pull back, and you also tend to notice danger and kind of be like, huh, a little bit more often. This could be a knee-jerk, huh, reaction. Like, I'll have those a lot, where I'm like, oh gosh, that could have been much worse than it was. And then maybe played it off. You know, we're still going to go into this optimistic. Good timing on the technique. Good, like, technique on the technique. Step behind side kick, spinning rear kick, and then just like a cross. What kind of is strange to me here, one of the kind of like key indicators that I thought was a little funky the first time I watched this, obviously this combination right here, bang, bang, it's pretty telegraphed. He gets well out of the way, and he sits right at the end of where he knows the guy's gonna be. He understood that distance, but what's weird to me is the timing of how much time came between the last like moment of the guy moving forwards with his kick, takes the time, puts the foot down, and is standing there, and then he throws a punch. You would imagine, if you sparred a decent amount, that once you get used to people throwing punches at you, as soon as that threat is gone, you tend to throw the punch pretty much immediately after. You don't usually use that, you don't usually leave that little gap there. Bang, bang. Just a small indicator of like sparring repetitions. Usually as soon as threat's gone, you fire back. Just a little something that I thought was a little interesting. A lot of the guys from this lineage, this Bruce Lee lineage, throw this this punch and turn their head on impact. Bang! Look at that head turn. Like it's a whoosh, whoosh. Bruce Lee does this too. You'll see it right here. Bang. His was much faster because it was a faster punch. But they still have that little... The student here is in like a super, super, super bladed boxing stance. Watch him get into it here. Bang. I mean, he's even stepping back with that other foot. I mean, it looks good for a boxing stance. Okay, so now we've got Bruce reading the movement going forwards. Counter. And then a shot to the body. But look at how close he lets him get on that shot to the body. Student is not moving. Oh, he goes shots to the body and then shots to the head and then camera flash. But then he just stands there. That's what's a little interesting here, is that he's just standing there. Watch it again. It's kind of what leads me to believe that maybe he didn't spar a ton. You're sparring, so there's no finish. Insinuating that there's a finish with your strikes is kind of like bad practice when it comes to sparring. Bang. Guy comes in, throws a kick to the body. I want to take a second to look at the sparring partner. Kind of the pendulum step kick to the body. It looked like he was a little lost on that one. That happens sometimes. Super normal. There's no movement of the feet. He had a style that was so like, and not like hating. So I'm looking at it and talking about it like I would talk about anybody else. But what we know about him is that he was so big onto movement and fluidity, but there's not like a lot of like bounciness or springiness. He's, you know, I specifically really want to watch this because he turns the angle, notices incoming movement. The guy comes in with his lead hand all the way down and then his backhand all the way down. Bruce Lee throws like a check ridge hand, pops his head up, bang, and then throws another check ridge hand. Hasn't moved his feet this whole time. The guy's body came into him as he's throwing these punches. Didn't move his feet once. Once he realized he was in and he got that, it almost feels like a little delayed, and then he goes to that sweep. Nice sweep. Technically, a lot of good stuff here. It just feels like the timing of like, and the fluidity of the in-practiceness. Oh, nope, he left it. Crossed his feet. It felt like he was about to... Just kicked him in the butt. Happens all the time. Ooh, okay. So this is probably like the most telling or real combination or like interaction we've had so far. It looks like sparring partner here had gone for that combination a couple times, like a pendulum step into a roundhouse kick, ducks and throws like an overhandish sort of. But the thing that I want to look at here, once again, Bruce Lee's feet don't move until afterwards. He's looking for the counter. His legs are completely straight. Guy comes in. He goes for that check ridge hand. Same thing he's done every time. The guy throws a low roundhouse kick, catches him. He's straight on that back foot. He goes for a lead leg roundhouse kick of his own. Then goes to throw a punch off the same hand that foot is off the ground. Usually a little bit of a no-no. Feels kind of funky. Feels kind of clunky. And then his back leg is just like, his hip juts out. The thing that got touched is what goes away first, which is usually kind of like something that you work on ironing out. That was a good... This time he actually went straight instead of throwing the ridge hand. Guy throws the exact same combination he's been throwing this whole time, but instead of coming around the outside, he just boom pushes straight into it. Same thing. Back leg is completely straight. Front foot is almost off the ground. Pushes his way through that one. That's a sick shot. That's a really cool shot. Whoever got that picture is probably pretty proud of it. And that is the session. Do we see any more? Oh, this is a different guy. Oh, there's another guy. Heck yeah. Oh, okay. We actually see a head kick out of him. Another head kick there. Guy looks like he's got a thicker mask on. Maybe Bruce going for a little bit more. There's that ridge hand. That check hook. Throws a lead roundhouse kick. Okay, that was kind of telling. Hops back into like into a deeper stance. I like this round a lot more already. But still, all of these interactions that end with him doing that. leaving that front leg off the ground and him kind of being like, whoa, boom. You'll see every combination, boom, in, he's like hitting stuff, and as he hits stuff, he moves up, and then his body comes down after the end of the interaction. He goes, oh, boom. Watch it. Usually that's telling of someone wanting to get higher than the other person out of like uncomfortableness. Little question mark kick. Bruce Lee's kicks are always nuts. They are nuts. Nobody's arguing that his kicks aren't good. He loves that lead hand. I don't think I've seen him throw his rear hand once. Another kind of telling thing is how much... That was one of the telling things. These guys pretty much give up the option of throwing their rear hand. Watch his sparring partner here, how far his back foot goes behind him when he throws these techniques. Look at that. Pretty much eliminating the option of you throwing at hand. And what happens, Bruce Lee's a little more square here. Once again though, like I said, he comes up to get over top. He's standing straight up. And what's going to happen is at the end of this I haven't watched it. At the end of this interaction between him and his sparring partner, he's going to find himself like catching his balance, boom, 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 and then sitting back down. There it was. Up and then back down. Let's see if we can find a rear hand out of this. Still no rear hand. Looks like his rear hand is kind of catchy. He wants to grab and latch on so he can throw more of his front hand. Front leg, beautiful. His timing for his kicks is awesome. It just seems like he doesn't spar super often. That's what I'm getting out of this. Yeah, and I mean, like, this guy's kind of doing a weird, like, oh, I mean, that's great technique. That's great timing. Granted, the guy was standing up, kind of like drunkenly coming at him, but his body's in a great position to make contact. Head's off the center line, crunched core, foot's at an angle, hand came behind him. Popped him with that kick. Bang. And then he puts his foot down in a good spot. You can tell it's right here. Bang. He's in a new stance. I mean, it's not the original stance he was in, but he's not standing up. His legs are straight. I feel like his kicks were awesome in this. His hands were not, which makes sense. That light just died. That's a bummer. Yeah, so my opinion on this, I mean, I guess I kind of said it throughout the whole thing, right? My opinion on this is that, I don't think that sparring footage was super telling on Bruce Lee's ability to fight. I don't really know what else to say, to be honest. You guys asked for it? There it was. My opinion on that Bruce Lee sparring video. If you're right here, right now, I watched the Olympic karate thing where the guy got the gold medal taken from him. I did a full review on it. YouTube took it down almost immediately. Thanks a lot, NBC. So, I thought it was BS. You know, sucks for karate. But it is what it is. Thanks for watching. Peace!